Hello, everybody. Welcome to Melee Neutral Theory, where the goal is to break down the neutral game of competitive Super Smash Bros. Melee into concepts and ideas that will be later recontextualized in game. So, to kick things off, I want to talk a little bit about what you can consider to be like the rock, paper, scissors of Melee. A lot of fighting games have this kind of analogy of rock, paper, scissors where you've got like three options. Option A beats option B, which beats option C, which beats option A. And you kind of cycle through those three where each thing has something it wins against as well as something it loses against. To get more specific, what I'm referring to is something that it has a couple different names, maybe the neutral triangle, three structures, three pillars of neutral, etc., etc. Basically, this is a concept that was adapted from a Guilty Gear player, Machabo, who created this kind of framework for understanding neutral and understanding these like three core categories we can put neutral ideas into, and then we can use that to look at their interactions and figure out, okay, what can I do that beats my opponent if they're choosing to do this? So Machabo, being a Japanese player, obviously gave these three categories Japanese names, but there's also rough English translations here as well. The three categories we're going over are Okiwaza, Atewaza, and Sashikaishi. Let's start with Okiwaza first. Okiwaza, as you can see here, describes preemptively throwing out attacks to cover space. So in this example, you can see Sheik doing a runoff back air from the platform, which kind of covers that platform space that Falco is trying to contest with that jump shine. Next up is Atewaza. What this refers to, you can see there, it says aggressive forward advancing attacks. The idea behind these is that you are intruding into your opponent's personal bubble and trying to hit them with something before they really have time to process what's happening. So in this example, you can see Falcon dashes across the stage, catches Marth in the corner with a stomp, which pops him up at the perfect height for a knee to close out the kill. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle is Sashikaishi. And what this basically means is reacting to unsafe attacks, otherwise known as whiff punishing. So what this consists of is basically playing a game of chicken with your opponent, where you kind of maintain enough of a distance that you can kind of dash in and out of their threat range, convince them to swing first, and then confirm that they're an end lag and punish accordingly. So in this example, Fox achieves this by maintaining his dash dance in such a way that Peach feels like she has to approach with options like dash attack, only she ends up overextending, and because Fox is able to dash even further back, he can then confirm that she whiffed the dash attack with a dash back in grab to punish. So when you're studying these clips, I encourage you to look at not only what the action is of the person winning neutral, but also the action of the person losing neutral, because the one losing neutral is picking the option one step clockwise. So for example, the Falco would be doing Atewaza. The jump shine is an aggressive forward advancing attack intended to initiate a big reversal. And the Marth is doing Sashikaishi, so he is attempting to dash dance in order to whiff punish something laggy. And the Peach is doing Okiwaza. Both this nair and the dash attack shortly after, they're both preemptive ways to cover the space directly in front of her. Before I continue, there's one important point I want to make about the neutral triangle. The category of a given neutral option is not determined by the move itself, but rather how the move is being used given the surrounding context. So for example, take a look at this neutral interaction.
Hits and lasers, basically.
And he's going for a lot of those pressure.
Why did Peach win neutral here? Well, just because Peach is still using her dash attack, that doesn't mean she's necessarily still doing Okiwaza. I think what we saw there from Armada with the dash attack is better described as Sashikaishi. Because what he does in the clip is establish a range where he's expecting Leffen to feel pressured to go in with an attack, which he does with the dash attack, but it's at a range where Armada can whiff punish with his own dash attack in response. Lastly, I'd like to note that different characters prefer different parts of this triangle based on their individual traits. And to illustrate this, I'd like to compare Fox and Sheik. Let's start with Fox. Because of the speedy nature of Fox's kit, he can perform both Atewaza and Sashikayashi pretty well, but is not as effective at Okiwaza, relatively speaking, because of his limited range. By contrast, Sheik tends to struggle with Atewaza because she doesn't have very many ways to deal with crouch canceling, but she can excel at both Sashikayashi and Okiwaza because of her pretty nimble movement and long limbs, respectively. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Thanks for watching. I really enjoyed making this video. I hope you found some use out of it. If you really enjoyed it, I would really love it if you would consider subbing. There may or may not be more stuff like this coming in the near future, so stay tuned for that. For now, I'll see you all later. Take care.